Session 1. Do you see why we needed to do this? We're going to talk about, what you already touched on, the race game. Is it merely a distraction? And then I definitely want Brother Taj to talk about the relationship between your sovereignty and spirituality.
Yes.
And then whatever else you want to talk about.
Yeah, let's be open.
Anything, yes.
Because whatever comes to your mind, more than likely you'll be closer to what needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
The questions that you might feel uncomfortable about asking or didn't even think to ask them anyway.
This is the time. This is the time.
Remember, truth don't change or pass away.
Right.
And as we were talking just earlier here, keep in mind, the only reason why a lot of these things are not talked about openly, because it would kill the economic system, because the people don't know they're under servitude.
Right.
They've been calling their servitude racism. They're under servitude.
Yeah.
Their birth certificates, their marriage certificates, their original manufacturers or titles of origin on all your cars are on the stock market. You understand? That's the stock. That's the bondage. And if you learn about your birthright, you'll learn how to start killing that stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want you to know this stuff. And logically,
You want to just come on in and
it's not.
Okay, but before you do, but go ahead and finish the statement, and then I'll make a couple of announcements.
It's not in the interest of people who say have enjoyed upper middle class JOBs. Keep this in mind. Write job down and write Job down. Long O, short O. Then go to the Bible and read Job again and understand your job. Because it has a definite relationship. It does. It absolutely does. Keep in mind, and again, I can't emphasize this enough, it's uncomfortable. Truth is uncomfortable. Because once you start examining things, you'll find that people have been looking you in your eye that knew this information all the while. But it's not in their interest to talk to you on these degrees. And then many of them belong to lodges. And they've already got an oath. They're not going to talk to you openly. So don't expect it. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's almost like expecting a European slaveholder to tell you that a birth certificate is a bank bond. To tell you that a marriage certificate is a claim by the oath of the preacher that you trusted, that you think loved Jesus, and get a kickback for selling your eggs to the Pope. And that the marriage certificate is filed in the Department of Commerce and transferred to the Department of Orphans, which makes your children non-descendable. Your reverend did that for you.
So hold that thought.
Do you understand?
But when you come back, can you pick up right on that point? You make the difference.
Yeah, and it's true.
Thank you. Yeah. He had already started.
Yeah, we do it every Tuesday.
1 minute to bear, because I already got to know, brother.
Every Tuesday and Friday at 3 o'clock y'all time. So we on the West Coast, so I ain't got to say 5 and 6. So it's 3 o'clock. It's on LA Talk Live. You can just Google SabirBeyShow.com. S-A, yeah, let me spell that for everybody. I had to do that on the show sometime too. S-A-B-I-R, I ain't got to spell Bay. You just show it.com.
Well, for some, B-E-Y.
Yeah.
Don't know that.
Don't put that. Yeah, exactly.
B-E-Y.
B-E-Y.
When you say just show it.com?
Show, like show.com. Yeah, I ran out of cards.
And there's even some of the interviews with Taj on YouTube.
Yeah, Taj, I mean, everybody comes on here. Taj, Karis one. We have a lot of people in here. So, all right, y'all.
Okay.
Right on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we got tables out here too, y'all.
Did you say my video?
All right, yeah, I got you.
Okay.
No shooting, okay?
They get to know me too.
No, I ain't putting my hands on them.
Okay, so at this time I'm going to pray before I bring Robbie out.
Some people are on that BS, the hierarchy. I want my name known. I've got this. Give me, this many notes. I need this type of transportation. I need this hotel. That's not who you're dealing with now. And I say that because we've got to start respecting those who are in front of us now and not waiting till they're gone. Okay, so show my teacher some love, but show him love by your activity, please. Okay, Islam. Yes.
When are we going to hear about what's going on tomorrow?
At the end, I'll come back up and I'm going to make the announcement about tomorrow.
Oh, I forgot one important announcement. This is going to be on our YouTube page, so you'll get to see this lecture again. It's at AABH space SAC, S-A-C. I know it's a lot of information, so I guess it'll be about 2 weeks before it's on our webpage, on our YouTube page. So if you missed something, you'll be able to catch it again.
Can we get a copy, hard copy?
We don't have the DVD, it just be on our YouTube page. I don't think we have a...
Someone can download it for you, though.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah, we don't, yeah, the DVDs, we just put everything on YouTube now on our page. Yeah.
Islam, come on back up. All right.
Excuse me, what's your name?
Laverne Brooken. Laverne Brooken.
You too. Yeah, because we were talking too.
Oh.
I was talking to your brother.
Eva.
We were talking too.
Oh.
I wanted to show you what your son was relating to.
Okay.
All right? Now, and keep in mind, everyone, we're talking about the real politics, not what you're told to believe. Are we clear? All right. Now, I'm going to furthermore, and this relates to what we talk about. This relates to what we're talking about. Put it together. How many of you know that the United States federal government's been dissolved?
I heard about it.
Now, I want you all to look around the room. Raise your hand again. Look around the room, y'all, which means the majority of you aren't even aware of what's going on in the real world. So how does that place you economically and politically in the realm of what goes on in your life, your economics, etc.? And what's going to happen to you if you don't get some things put in place. All right, we're going to talk about some of those things today and tomorrow, but I want to bring this, you know, in relationship to the South, you know, the 1771 coup. Now, synopsis, real quick. 1871, they did a secret coup, whereas they converted the legitimate republic government, which was set up by Moors and a few deists. Understand, the founding fathers were not Christians, they were deists. Are we clear? Deist means they study deity. Deity is the proper name of the planet Mercury. This is where you get the word deity from. That's a communication center. That planet is a communication center. Your history is bigger than you know. We're not just on this planet. So there's a lot of things that are not discussed with you by the priesthood, but everybody knows what you. So when people talk about the deities, it's only one deity, that's deity, that's the planet Mercury. Sometimes called Jove in your secret societies, in Roman order. You hear the word Jove, or you see that single eye of Horus, the single eye. All right, so the senses, you got taste, touch, smell, hearing, sight. When you learn true Gnostic wisdom of the ancient ones, which is really what religion is, including cosmology, which would include astrology, etc., and you become more harmonic with nature, those senses bond together. And it activates the chakras, which is often called ascension. Like when they say Yahshua or Jesus ascended unto heaven, what it means, activating the pineal gland, or the seed of David. And this is where that's called the pine cone, or the eye, the third eye. And you have a nerve that comes out of the dark side of the brain and terminates just over the nose of the thalamus. It's the thalamus. It terminates right here. That's why sometimes in Asiatic culture you'll see them put a dot there. Or you'll see the phrase that the priesthood would say without explaining to the people, anointeth my head with oil. That's the activation of the pineal gland. Do you understand? Now there's methodologies by which that is done. Yes, absolutely. That's symbolic. But what it means is the activation of the pineal gland. Now, when those activate, it brings in or accentuates what is known as insight and intuition. And that's when some women more than males, because women are more pure than males are. And so, some of them are born with a veil. And this is where you get seers from, or prophets, because they can see on multiple dimensions. And people who don't understand that get confused, or they get spooky, and it's actually nature. So don't get it twisted, it's actually nature. We've been so out of harmony with nature that we've lost our culture. So don't be afraid of the seeing that you recognize. And that's what the one eye represents. It represents the all-seeing eye of all universal law, sometimes called Allah or Allah. And Allah is actually the Moabite woman. It's not some man sitting on the throne with a turban. That's another thing they don't want you to know. Also, the use of the womb, the Ankh. This Ankh is a uterus. Uterus, fallopian tubes, birth canal. It represents government on the planet. When you see in the book of genetics, which they'll call Genesis, when Mary and Elizabeth, who were cousins, were being administered to the angels, they were speaking to them about what is known as the applied science of the number 9. And this is the job of all women who know your real culture. You're to bring the champions here with a knowledge of the use of your womb. That's where the solution is on the planet. And that's why the angels were administering to Mary and Elizabeth. They were sent here already knowing the job they had to do. So it will be in the future. The sooner you get in harmony with yourself, the sooner we'll solve the world's problems. Whether you like it or not, it's on you. And you're not going to escape it. So learn yourself, know yourself, get back about your mother's and your father's work. For your mother marks you from the ethers. Your birthmark is not just the belly button, for it is the generating energies of the planets as she has traveled. Once you understand that and learn to respect divine law, we can easily solve problems. Therefore, physician, heal thyself. So let's get back to the real politics of the world. And I'm going to give you some synopsis of some things for you to look at, so that you're not naive. Again, as we say, why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? What makes this important? Nevertheless, why is it that very few people are talking about these degrees? Well, I suggest that you use your common sense, all right? So I'm going to expose to you congressional records, so that you also don't have to maintain your denial or your naivety. And don't get caught up in this idea because, you know, my man, he's a lawyer, you know, and Reverend's my cousin, and he ain't talking about this. That's because you don't know what that 501c3 skull and bones agreement is. That's why. It ain't got nothing to do with Jesus' head. Anyway, in relationship to your son, there's a lot more here, but this is just a synopsis. This will give you a little bit of insight. And you have, it's some law posted in there, but you'll have to do some research. So you have to be among scholars so that you can get this information. Because remember, most people take oaths of death not to reveal this information. So don't expect that you're going to go out in the world and just get this, because it ain't going to happen. But also, I'm giving you documented records so you can understand that the fact that you may or may not be interested has more to do with your naivety than with the fact. Do you understand? Right. And with the lack of sincerity of people that are around you that look you straight in your eye from them pulpits and from them magistrate's desk and from the deputy knights called barristers and your community leader guys. All will have this information. Congressional records, you all. Now, in all matters of so-called debts, keep this in mind, you all, so-called debts. Why is it called so-called debts? Because they don't damn exist. How about that? Alleged under the bankrupt, insolvent, executed, and dissolved U.S. government, the discharge versus pay remedy means to put right. Something that cures, corrects, counteracts, removes an evil or wrong, invokes legal redress, puts back into proper condition, and in law a means, as in a court action, by which a violation of a right is prevented or compensated for. Therefore, the discharge remedy, as stated in the U.S. bankruptcy speech, and with all legal and lawful facts closely observed, the presented or prescribed, administrative processes should also be taken into serious operational and analytical consideration. With the aforesaid dispensations in mind and with the critical thinking, we shall review and analyze the expository speech made by James Tropicant, representative of Ohio, and you already know they bumped him off in September. Now, he was a representative of Ohio. For those of you who are scholars and those of you not, so you can have some base research, go look up on Louis McFadden, 1932 and 1934, on the floor of the Congress. Also keep in mind that when he visited his daughter in New York, they poisoned him.
Louis McFadden.
Because he talked about the fraud too. See, so it's important for you to understand what's really going on so that you can begin to save your families. Furthermore, because they're killing all the bonds, they're going to be coming at your houses. They're going to be foreclosing on you even if you made so-called payments because you didn't know that you didn't make payments. They're called dedonis in the instrument, if you ever notice it, which means a gift, because it can't be paid. Now, Louis McFadden, 1932, 1934, on the floor of the Congress, where he critiqued the sellout that was set forth with Woodrow Wilson in 1913. Do you understand? Keep in mind, prior to 1913, all transactions of property were done in an allodial construct. How many are you aware of that? Not enough. But pay attention to this, you all. Pay attention to the hands that are raised because that lets you know where you are. And understand it's not in your interest not to know these things. And don't think you're not involved because you are. You're in the stock market whether you think you are or not in the stock market. And you are stock. Go ahead. Loud enough so everybody can hear you.
That's kind of like all this coincides with when Roosevelt, FDR did the 33, the bankruptcy.
All right, now yes, but that's later. So think, as we were talking earlier, with the coup of 1871, where they set up the demo system for the demons under the Spanish Inquisition, the secret treaty of Verona, doctrine of discovery, which the people who don't know have been ignorantly calling racism. It's really the doctrine of discovery. Spanish Inquisition, are we clear? 19 and 13, keep in mind Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, who you know as Noble Ali, set up an order whereas the estate of the heirs would be restored, which was supposed to have been done with the Freedmen's Bureau, which they closed in 1868. And he set up the old Canaanite temple to re-instruct these people of their estate, their birthright in the true history. He set up an old Canaanite temple, which later became Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which later became the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's really a restoration order, but it's often misrepresented as a religious order. Are we clear? Prior to 1913, Duali set this up, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali set it up in 1913 for the instruction and the restoration of the Asiatics of the North Gate. There was a counter move made by the Romans, and Woodrow Wilson met with the Popes of Rome, representatives of the Popes of Rome off Jekyll Island, 1910, 1913, to sell the government. This is where you get the demo order, where they're starting to come out of the closet. of the coup. In 1933, between 1932, between 1929, they got rid of Durali in 1929. And immediately they started enforcing these things that they had already set up. Keep in mind, prior to 1913, there was no mortgages and liens operating here in North America. Are we clear? Are we clear? Everything was a allodial title. Are we clear? And most people, you talk to them now, they don't even know what you're talking about. Do you understand what I'm saying? You talk about a allodial title, they're looking like,
What is that?
exactly. See the problem? I'm just saying that to express how far away we are from the truth. How far we are away from true economics and not knowing that we are. Oh yes, in disciples, yes. Oh yes, now, yes. So now remember, Martin Luther King was a 33-degree Mason. And one of the things when he said when he got frustrated, he was starting to reveal some Masonic secrets. You can't do that. In other words, you can't take it back. Once you curse the Don, you're done. There is no retreat. That's why he says, tonight I'm not fearing any man, longevity has its place. But I've been to the mountaintop. That's your seal on the back of that note. And I've seen the promised land. That's the eye at the top of it. Might not get there with you. But we as a people will make it to the promised land. That was his death. So they aimed for the temple of Solomon. They hit him in the neck, but the aim was for the temple. Masonic assassination. Islam.
Yes, how do I myself...
Speak louder, please.
How do I myself create change without becoming assassinated? Like, you know...
Well, now we're telling the truth. This is what it is. Our people have been dying on a regular basis. Our youth die in the street every day. What do you mean without being assassinated? They're assassinated every day. Our job is to stop that bloodshed by moving towards the truth. They do it because the people are ignorant. They do it because the people don't stand up for truth. Remember, a liar can't criticize a liar. If we're playing football and you clip me on my knee, right? Then they use a ref. He goes, "You can't do that, sister." So I get pissed and bang you inside the head with my helmet. Then we both get fouled. Do you understand? Right. Let the law take its place. You got to remember, these people called Negro, Black, and Colored, and what do they call themselves this week, are Christian property. They're no different than animals. He can do the Rodney King all day long, and the civilized world will not step up. Why? Rodney King. Now, we would take it emotionally because that's our family. But he doesn't know, and most of our people don't know that his status is dead. International law protects people of nations, not people who are not of a nation. Anybody that does not recognize their nativity, that's your mom. That's your nation. Nation is mother. If you don't honor your mothers, you don't have international law protection. Why do you think they put these brands on these people, call them light-skinned, orange-skinned, green people, and don't matter what color you is? And as soon as they agreed to that, they lost their birthright. Then they go around claiming to be Smith, Jones, and Johnson. Property. Then buying and selling with the mark and the number of this man's name and wonder why they're wards of the state. It's not complex. Yes, he's taking advantage of us, but we're out of order. And somebody needs to tell us to our faces because we're egotistically self-righteous about it. Do you understand?
So if we understand, then we're protected by that law. As you said,
international law.
International law.
That's why you declare your nationality. That's why when Obama came back and he signed the rights of indigenous people with Clinton and then when signed, it says at part 5, it says every child shall have at his birth a right to a name and nationality. Because if you don't have a nationality, you have no estate. You cannot maintain any wealth. These are fundamentals all over the world. It's just that our people have been so miseducated, they think that as soon as they say Afrocentricity and Kemet that they've arrived. No, they haven't. If you don't act on the information, you've abandoned your birthright. And most people, because our people are sensitive, won't tell them just like that because they don't want to victimize the victim. We're full of doo-doo, and people need to tell us to our face we're full of doo-doo and need to stop sacrificing our babies. And somebody take a stand. There's not one war that this Roman has not won except at the hand of these Asiatics that insist on claiming to be black, that go to and fro the earth, devouring nations, and then come back and do a nigger march. Let's talk about the unborn. Let's talk about them babies. Let's talk about that baby having a chance when she grows up without being under the Christian black codes of 1724. And them lying saying that Jesus set that up. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Not from emotion, but from fact. Because I can give you documents. I'm not trying to convince you. I got facts. I deal with scholarship, not emotion, not belief systems. The fact that our people keep dealing with emotions and belief systems is why they're in trouble. Talk Afrocentric and think that they've arrived. Well, no. Not at all. Islam says.
So in response to your question, what I hear you saying is we should not let fear keep us from.
Because this is
and
it.
If it means whatever.
This is what it means. He who seeks to save his life will lose it first. Meaning that this is the other issue. For all these people that have been claiming they don't fear nobody but Allah, they don't fear nobody but Yahweh, they don't fear nobody but Jesus-ness, and punk out as soon as this man walks around. You know why? Because they're confessing who their God really is. Fear not. Stand for the truth. If you don't want it, give the next one a chance. Do you understand? Don't talk about dying. Talk about let's put some things in place so our people can live again. Existing in servitude is not good life.
No.
Just like the sister said, without good health, what good is life?
Yeah.
What joy is it in life if you're miserable and you have no good health? How can you achieve anything else with any reality, with any quality, with any love, with any production? So let's go to congressional records. I'm just going to show you a couple of things, right? Congressional records. Now keep this in mind. And then we're going to go into the Clearfield Doctrine. Now this is congressional records, March 17, 1993. This is when he made the speech. And of course, you know, after he made the speech, they set him up, put him in jail for 7 years. Yeah. And you kind of know why they got rid of him last September, saying that he was on his tractor and it turned upside down accidentally on his farm. That's their usual stuff. Now, I'm going to open this speech and then I'm going to skip and I'm going to go to another part to give you an idea of what all of your so-called community councilmen, your so-called Afrocentric community council guys, they got this information. Why do they always talk in racism? Why don't you tell you what's really happening to you? How about that? This stuff is not knowable. Do you understand? Good brother, stand up so everybody can hear you too.
Oh, I just wanted to say, we never die.
Say again?
We never die.
You got that right twice.
We've been alive millions of years. Our spirits have been alive millions of years, billions of years. We'll never die. You may leave that physical body, but you do not die. You're dead now.
Lessons of
We're dead now.
Yeah.
When he came amongst his own, we received him not. There is no death.
There is no death. We got it backwards. They
Some
die.
of you
They
are
die.
your own foreparents,
We don't.
if you knew it. There are very few new spirits on the planet.
That's right. That's all right. Yeah.
Now I'm going to skip some of this because I really want you to understand this. And I want you to understand what everybody actually already knows. All right? Now, this is his opening speech on the floor of the House of Representatives. And so also this is for those who will try to dispute this information so they can't say, that's that Morris stuff. And that stuff is trying to talk that sovereignty stuff. That's what they're good for, to try to dismiss it. They won't call it a lie, they try to divert your attention.
Yeah.
They're called COINTELPRO operatives. I suggest you all look up COINTELPRO operatives under J. Edgar Hoover. And remind you, he got a fez too. So don't you think they don't know. Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees. So if they're trustees, that means there's an estate. Doesn't it mean that, y'all? How come nobody telling you all about estate law? And how come nobody telling you all that you all have an estate? Anyway, presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in the world, the U.S. government. So the U.S. government is an entity. They told you it was a country.
Yep.
See what the problem is? See what the problem is relative to consciousness or the lack thereof? So I want you to take this information in consideration and kind of comprehend why club members don't talk about this stuff, because their 501c3 agreement might be withdrawn. Huh? Oh, all right. Anyway, the U.S. government, we are setting forth hopefully a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it's a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved. How many people know that? Wow. How many people know that? Look around, look at the hands, y'all. I'm just giving you this documented information to show you, without doubt, how most of your concepts about what you're looking at is incorrect. Logically, how you approach things are absolutely incorrect. Are we clear? And while many people are sitting around talking about your rights and black rights and all that stuff are got you on a social treadmill, wasting your time when they should have you on another subject matter of truth. But then the nigger organizations would fall apart because they're funded by the corporations.
Yep.
Do you understand?
So if it's dissolved, then who's governing?
Now, didn't we bring you on? Good.
That's just the word.
Good.
What?
Good. Good.
What?
Good. The coup of 1871. They set up a de facto demon order called the U.S. democracy. A body of imposters. And the masses have been funding their own enslavement with their belief systems, not knowing that the corner reverend is a deputy of the deputy knights.
Aren't we legalizing what they're doing, this fake stuff by signing when we sign under penalty of perjury?
Well, that's why they do that. No, the liability on you, but not on them.
Right, but it becomes contract law. Now we're bound.
Now contract, so now you must know contract law,
yes.
and you must know estate law, because that's everything that's in operation.
That's what's in operation.
Are we clear?
Yeah.
All right.
Next question though.
Go ahead.
That meeting at Jekyll Island.
Jekyll Island. Now you understand Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie?
Wasn't that also the establishment of the Federal Reserve?
Well, of course it is. But the Federal Reserve, now see, how many people know that the Internal Revenue Service is really the Inquisition Revenue Service? That's why you think they met on Jekyll Island. Go ahead, sis.
2013, back to 2011, they went into law that the Federal Reserve Board, whoever they are, have rights to database all of our financial, every tax.
Do you know why?
Financial.
Do you know why?
10 years.
Do you know why?
Why?
All right, listen, you all. Listen, you all. I want you to pay attention to this because most people are asleep. The governors of the Federal Reserve private for-profit foreign human trafficking order under the popes of Rome, under the secret treaty of Verona, is the U.S. Congress. The people that you see as congressmen are fronts. The Federal Reserve Board, under the secret Treaty of Verona, is the Congress for the U.S. corporation. They decide all policy. That's when you know what's going on. What you just said doesn't surprise you. When you're naive, you say, how is the Federal Reserve going into the taxpayers' records for the last 10 years?
They have the right to database.
Of course they have a right.
And look at your credit card.
Yeah, but
it tells you on there.
Why do they not have the right?
Yeah.
Didn't George Washington say to one of the women at the time, he said, "Madam, you now have a republic if you're willing to keep it." And now you see all these adults teaching their children about the democracy, the demons.
The real demons.
Yep, the real demons.
And they claim to be spiritual. You know, we're spiritual. Don't hold your breath on that. Because we're full of doo-doo. But I say this, you will change it when you change your mind. Because your mental is what will change the atmosphere. They don't want you to know that you have that power. Understand this also, sovereignty does not exist in a package by itself. It is tied to your nativity. Do you understand? Your nationality and your sovereignty are conjoined, like your left leg and your right leg. The honor of your mothers and your fathers is the recognized capacity for you to enforce what is called the common law, to trump the Roman law.
I just need to ask you all something. By show of hands, we have dinner reservations. So we were all, we made reservations at a place called Casablanca. It's a Moroccan restaurant here in Sacramento. I just need a count so that I can call them and give them a number of who would like to attend. So we're going to be there at about 4, leave here at about 3:45 to get there about 4. And it's on Watt and Farrell's.
But tell them why.
Now, the reason that I chose that restaurant is because I want you to see the love and embrace that you get from Morocco. And when we walked in there, me and my queen went there and found out we was talking just a moment. They understood the knowledge that I had, automatically took me to his back room where he had everything the elders talking about blown up. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship, blown up. The letter of George Washington to the Sultan, blown up. He's what you would call a pale Arab. But when he found out who I was and that I knew who I was, automatically we have pictures. He has the fezes in there, everything. He laid out entertainment for us today and everything. So I just need to know who wants to go so I can get a count so I can call it.
And what's the name of it?
It's called Casablanca.
Is because this is world of politics. We've been suppressed and minimized so many generations that we actually think small of ourselves. And we're actually at the center of the hub of the entire world's politics. It is dangerous to those who are holders for you to find that out. So, brother, stand up so we can all hear your family.
I was wondering, the Pope and Queen Elizabeth was at war, and now they're having a meeting. And I know it's something to do with the papal bull. Can you explain?
All right. Now, what you have seen lately is where Pope Francis and the Christian doctrine of discovery. Keep in mind all corporate entities, all non-profit organizations, etc., all future labor, all 1040 agreements, etc., are property of the Pope under the Spanish Inquisition. We're talking the real politics. I've given you the foundation. Pope Francis recently did a treaty with representatives of different nation states and organizations and different so-called religions, where they ended the secret, they didn't say not the secret treaty, but the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery essentially is the secret treaty of Rome, and that's what's been operating against our people, that they have been ignorantly calling racism. But the racism is really genocide policy. Are we clear? Now, whereas those of you who know a little bit of law and have been approaching the European magi, they call themselves magistrates, they're magi, and seeking justice and wondering why you can't get justice or due process, not knowing that when you walk before them, you're already declared dead unless you declare yourself living. I'm telling you fact what happens. And all of those courts are set up like Egyptian temples. You understand? And most of the time, if they can set the buildings up right, he will be sitting in the east. Do you understand? Now, knowing this, you know that he's a Mason. You know he has obligations. But if you don't hold them to him, you're either a free man or your property. There is no in between.
Would you call it a game since it's called a court?
Say it again. It's really a human trafficking. It's really a tribunal. There are no lawful courts since 1789. I'll make sure you all have that documents in the future. All right? This is so that you're not deceived. Keep in mind, if you go into those tribunals, not in propria persona, you're automatically considered civil mortuus, which means dead in the view of the law. Our people recognize it by saying, oh man, it just ain't fair because soon a brother walk in there, they got a double standard law. Because they do. You're either a white man or you're a slave. Now I showed you what white man really is. Right? Y'all know that you're North Africans and Phoenicians and Moors, but y'all want to be black. So that's Christian property. It's simple, it's not complex. Go ahead, who was this? Sam's over here.
Yeah.
Share.
I want to share something with you guys. This was back before I was conscious, and I was basically in my corporate self. I had declared my free national name. Now I went to one of these tribunals, and I tried to sue a car dealership over some, we had some issues with the car dealership. They were in violation of the law. So I took them there and tried to sue them. And the judge said something to me that I didn't understand until I became conscious. He said, he who is not equitable cannot receive equity. That's what he told me straight to my face. I didn't understand it back then.
He was telling you your legal status.
Right. So that's something I want y'all to know. It's real. He said it to me. I did not understand it.
You do now.
I understand now.
So we want stand up, brothers over here. Share with your family. All right, family.
Quiet.
Now, my name is Barry Axios. I have a mentorship program called Voice of Youth, so I definitely appreciate your wisdom and everything like that.
I have a microphone, that's why I have it.
I don't need a microphone, I'm good.
Okay.
But I
Yeah, you can. We can hear. I should have said this before. I should have said this because it's going on YouTube.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
they'll be looking at you in China.
Oh, that's good. They need to be looking at me. My name is Barry Axios, once again, Voice of Youth. Now, we all are trying to figure out different methods and ways to move us forward, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us are asleep, not awake.
Yeah.
We see what's going on. Now, we have a situation coming up. 2016 is going to be the election. Democrats, Republicans, the whole, that whole game. Now, so many of us were easily able to go to the elections and say Obama because he was black or whatever. Now, but at the same time,
remember,
in our conscious mind, when we're thinking,
what never project lies.
Okay.
Obama has a nationality. Black is Christian property. He has a nationality. Don't curse him.
Well, most of us prefer.
Listen to what I'm saying.
I hear you.
I know you mean well.
Yes.
Listen to what I'm saying to you all. We have to be careful the energy that we project in the world, because we're going to come back at you in this cycle of Aquarius. He's not black. Don't put that on him. He honors his mothers and his fathers. Don't call him what he's not. He's not Christian property.
Okay.
Black people are Christian property. They are stock. They are cattle. They are chattel. They are disgraced to the civilized world. A black man can't be president. Do you understand that? No, I'm telling you, don't take it emotionally. Because you're dealing with youth. You cannot guide them properly and cast spells on them because you cause their deaths. You got to understand how serious this stuff is. Don't underestimate what I'm saying to you. Don't cast spells.
Correcting ourselves.
Now, what
Go
I'm
ahead,
saying,
now continue.
So we're saying our ignorance, we call it?
Ignorance does not excuse you. In law, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You're supposed to know yourself and honor your mothers and your fathers. And you are the descendants of the founders of civilization. How dare you put that black brand upon the civilized world and expect anything treatment other than an animal?
indeed.
Continue.
Now, how are we supposed to navigate when we've been programmed to see that we have to vote, we need to vote, and we don't have our own political party?
All right, let me explain to you so that you're not naive. Anybody who's called black, Negro, colored, their vote don't damn count. That's number one.
Right.
Number two is used by the political party however they choose. There are 3/5 persons absent of name and nationality. So to even promote amongst the youth some false hope that their vote counts is a false premise. You know, so we got to stop lying to them and work on those things to fix that problem, which is why you're here, which is why we're giving this information.
So you're coming back?
Because I know that you mean well. However, a surgeon, just because he's my boy, and you got a headache, I said, come on, man, because this is my boy here, is a surgeon and stuff like that, right? And just stay upon the table. Let him lay his hands upon thee. And then he rolls out this dirty towel with rusty butter knives. Get up and run. Just because we mean well does not mean we do well. One of the reasons I had her go to the dictionary because I want her to see that that brand is really a spell cast. And you must know that a black man can't be president. But what you may not have known is that it's because it's a legal status. It's not a people. No such people exist. It's a legal status.
Someone in that status.
That's a legal status. Furthermore, go to an unabridged dictionary, right? And go into the appendix, for me, and you deal with OHG, Old High German, right? And you know what black means? Shining and pale. And our people think it means this. And these adults can't tell the difference between this and this. And then they try to impose that on the world. And don't even know that black actually is Middle English, Blake, derived from Old High German, which is Blake, black, blanc, which means pale. Because it actually comes from Negro or the Paleolithic man. It's the caveman. Negro, Yavera Arebo, or what is called the troglodyte nigger. Go in an Oxford dictionary and you'll see. Troglodyte nigger is a chimpanzee. It's also the caveman. Now, if you want to be a nigger, don't be surprised about your treatment. Now, you can decide whether you want to be part of the human family and honor your mothers and fathers like other civilized beings, or you keep playing these Negro marching chattel brand games set forth for you by the Dutch masters who've been occupying your land for the last couple hundred years. You make up your mind, because the world's getting tired of waiting on us. Are we clear? Because it's causing the planet to be sick. And then he's trying to kill you off so that you don't get your inheritance. Because the rest of the civilized world is dumping their T-bombs by building infrastructure in nations that they have occupied. You need to know what's going on in the real world. This is what these wars are all about. They're trying to preserve the petrodollar. That is based on them abrogating the gold clause. Do you understand? Y'all better get up on world history and get in harmony with the rest of the civilized world, or you're going to find yourself not breathing. Because they do intend to exterminate. That's right. And don't think they don't. And them things up there ain't all clouds.
I just wanted to ask a question here.
Go ahead.
How many of you have ever voted for the President of the United States? One time. Nobody in here ever voted for the President of the United States.
The very fact that you believe that you did is problematic. The college votes for them. It's already determined. Obama was assigned that seat Before he was even, I got my name on that first. So, before he was even, before he was even in the Congress. Y'all, you really don't understand world politics. I'm trying to give you, what we're trying to do is to get you to be willing to see. Because you can't see. And you don't believe that you can't see. And I understand that, I'm not knocking. But what you think is real is an illusion. You're plugged into a false matrix. All of this stuff is pre-planned. Your votes don't count for doo-doo.
That's right. It's about the bloodline.
Thank you. It is done to keep the masses, you know, like you say your job might be overseer and you don't know it. You're assigned to guide the children in misguidance. To keep them out of the hair of the rulers. Thinking that you're going to do some good. They're going to be sacrificed. I guarantee you half of them are going to be in jail before they're 25. Or dead. That's the plan for them. Our plan is to change that. All clear. That's why we're giving this information. Until their mind changes, their course of life is already set for them. No matter how intelligent they are, no matter what good intentions they have, they're being prepared for the grave or prisons. With the help of your leader guys, claiming to love Jesus-ness, who are spies. And these people just don't believe it. This is why they're going to sacrifice their babies. And they're going to deliver them too. Right to these dark priesthood that they think love Jesus-ness. Who got nice suits on, nice houses, and visit with Susie every summer down the Bahamas with Jesus is at. And they've been doing it and they're going to continue to do it. For people who refuse to deal with the truth, who refuse to honor their mothers and fathers, therefore there's no consciousness of the abuse of them. Because every man, woman, child around the world honor their mothers and fathers. What makes you think you're so different? Putting them brands on the civilized world and wonder why you get rejected. Chinese come there and talk about he's light-skinned yellow guy, he loses his birthright too. Go ahead, good brother.
Thank you, Brother Todd.
Get the mic.
I have a group of brothers that I've been talking to recently.
Can you
and,
talk in the mic, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I have a group of young brothers who recognize that we've been fed misinformation, and we recently been awoken. We were asleep. I thank my father for showing me real information, but basically we're on the path to try to figure out the right information, and with this information, we're trying to figure out what can we start to do, because we understand that our direct involvement in capitalism, we're still a part of the farm. So we're trying to figure out what steps can we take to branch out off of the farm.
You're going to talk about estate law. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Everything that you have, you must put it in estate and trust. So we're going to talk a little bit about trust law. You got to remember everything, including the people, are listed in the corporate state's trusts. You understand? You're in their trust until you claim your own. So we're going to talk about that. Because there's no need to give you a pet rally that don't damn work. I'm telling you the real politics. Actually, what you're asking, truthfully, is being given to you. If you will observe and pay attention, what you're asking and more is being given to you right now. You need to study it and recognize that you're actually being answered. But I do understand, you know, from the position, from your perspective at this time. As you begin to look at this information, and then I'll tell you another thing too. As you begin to assimilate, meaning that when it stops becoming data and becomes internalized, it wakes up your cell memory, you will find that other nationals will recognize the energy change in you and will tell you some things that will shock you. Don't you ever think that other nationals don't know this information. They know that we like to fight, we're sensitive, We think we know Jesus-ness and nobody else does. And so it's almost a useless cause to tell these people to honor their mothers and fathers because they don't want to. They want to be black Christians. How many of you know what the Niceno, we were talking earlier, Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed is? Now look around the room, y'all. I want you all to raise your hand. Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed. Look around the room, y'all. To show you how asleep we are, that's the official name of Christianity. And people go to church and don't even know they're worshiping Constantine. Talk about Jesus-ness. Do you understand? Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed is the official name of what's presented in the so-called black communities as Christianity, with all its denominations, belonging to the Pope of Rome, the same Romans that murdered the prophets. They're actually worshiping Constantine and his mother. Oh, for those who doubt it, right? Back to an ordinary dictionary. Now, you know what they say about some people, they don't read. Look up Nicene Creed. Now, a child, you can take this baby, right? Take this baby and answer the way, say, what? How much is 2 and 2? It says 4. Oh, deep. How much is 4 and 4? Oh, this girl's really getting deep. I'm gonna put my boots on. Now, does that change when we get to China? No. It doesn't? Well, how come people's beliefs change? And they all claim to be telling the truth. Don't exactly go together, does it? Make no sense. But they work it like that, don't they? Now look at this, you all. How many people have basic etymology degree? Basic. Look at the hands. Basic etymology is taught in 2nd and 3rd grade in the civilized world. How come people called black don't get it? Because those are rules of reading. Etymon, to every word in every language, is what an egg is to life, what a seed is to life, what a zygote is to the living. An etymon is to language. And you trace the etymon across linguistic and time to trace its true mother, true meaning, thus etymology, thus 3rd grade etymon degree. Basic reading, are we clear? Get used to it. All right, sis, go ahead.
Nicene Creed.
Hold on.
Nicene Creed, 1, a formal statement of the tenets of Christian faith, and chiefly of the doctrine of the Trinity, set forth by the Council of Nicaea in AD 325.
So 325 years after they got rid of the Nazarene, they made up this stuff. And the average person goes to them circles lying and saying Jesus brought that out of a cloud of glory for your salvation. That's an ordinary dictionary. That's not even deep research. Do you see why nobody respects black people? Then they put a Roman up there and claimed it to be Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Michelangelo's nephew, that he was commissioned to paint.
Did the Piso family create the New Testament? You know anything about that?
Come on. Tell us something. Tell us.
I don't know.
What was the question?
You got something to share with me?
My question was, I've heard that the Piso family and the Aristocrat family was hired to create the New Testament. So I'm just asking the questions about that.
Well, yes. And they also had what they called 72 scholars who were commissioned by the Pope to alter the books from the Book of the Dead, where you get your first Bible, which are called Septuaginta, in Hebrew and in Latin. And so when the reverends start talking about Bible studies and they don't tell the people about the Septuaginta, the first books, you already know they're COINTELPRO operatives. But long as the people don't know, they can get away with it, can't they? Because they're counting on your ignorance, making you think they love Jesus. They work for Rome. Always did. The very Romans that murdered the Nazarene. As a matter of fact, Pontius Pilate said, "Oh, hypocrites. Why y'all want to bump this brother off? He ain't been the cross was for Barabbas, so why do you want to keep the good man?" "Yeah, we want him." "How come?" "Because he's a threat." Why? So he was a threat to both the Romans and the priesthood, right? So they assassinated his character, then they went after the body, didn't they? So Pontius Pilate said, "Oh, if y'all insist," because he wanted to get rid of him too, and then went through the ritual of washing his hands to appear innocent, right? And then the priesthood with Rome assassinated Yeshua, didn't they? Who got blamed?
The devil.
Who got blamed? The devil. Who the people been raising money for generations to kick his keisters? The devil. What was told to them? He has no power. Except what y'all give him. Why don't y'all charge the priesthood? No, they've been paying the priesthood Jesus' half, ain't they? With Pope Sylvester II set up the tithing system for Rome. 10% Roman tax. What did the niggers do? They lied and said that was set up by Moses for God's hand. That's Pope Sylvester, Pope of Rome, for their chattel property. People say they know it, and they know the book, and they know Jesus-ness. Right? Says, "I hold out my hand all the day long to a hard-hearted and rebellious people that were not called by my name. When they repent from their sinful ways, I will hear from heaven and heal their land." Does that sound like a cloud? What the preacher say? Cloud. What did the book say? An estate. Land, your land. So as you can see, the Nicene Council took place 325 years after they murdered the Nazarene, and that creed was made up by the bishopric, by a council. And right to this day, you can go in any of these houses, and these people will lie and say Jesus brought that. That's their own record, in an ordinary dictionary. Does that take a lot of scholarly research? Exactly not. Do you understand? So let's go a little further to show you what you're suffering from. All right? Remember this congressional records. It's an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act March 9, 1933. Franklin Delano Roosevelt to enforce what Woodrow Wilson had done. This is a fake bank holiday. 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent. HJR, House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress in session June the 5th of 1933, joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolved the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. That's documented. How come you don't know that? How come you don't know that you're paying for your own enslavement with the help of your marching Negro leader guys, with your 501c3 Skull and Bones agreements?
Because they tell us on TV. They tell us on TV.
What they tell you don't mean it's a lie or true, does it?
But the fact that they're saying on TV and all these people are hearing it, it must be true.
All right. Now, so people, so what they've been doing is they've been collecting the brown stuff off the lawns and telling people it's peanut butter. And then some people are saying, but they've been telling us it's peanut butter. Oh no. When are we going to use our common sense? See, the highest science known to man is common sense. It is used to enter into any other science. And when you deny, reject, underestimate, do not respect your common sense, you are outside of the common law. Therefore, you are subject to the peanut butter. Now, this is the real world. This is the real world and what's really going on. But this is important for you to understand that that when politicians or any persons are claiming to the contrary, that they are consciously lying. But they know that most of you don't read or have this information available to you, so they are counting on your ignorance to just say anything to you and get away with it. And then knowing they've got their backup leader guys in the communities talking Afrocentricity, and you think that they're working for you and they're working for Rome. As you look at some of this information, you can understand why it's politically sensitive. Because most people, as you can see when you started raising your hands, have not been aware of what's going on in their lives every day. They were wondering why they're paying all these taxes and they don't have any decent schools for their children. They don't know that it's a 40-60 split between the Queen and the Pope. Because they won't read. Do you understand? And their black leaders ain't going to go into this information because their black organizations got 501c3 agreements. Not that they don't know this information. It's liberating. See, because now also you have to start taking responsibility. See, once you get purged or once you get baptized, you got to act like you clean or you ain't. Make up your mind. Because you can't serve two masters. You can decide you want to continue to serve Rome and get it. Not only is he not going to give you what he promised, he's going to kill you. So if you think you're going to duck death by not rocking the boat, I suggest you rock the boat. Because they're planning to throw you over anyway. So the more that we rock the boat, the more the next generation has a chance. Are we clear? Yes. You know, not only that, keep in mind, the rest of the world only buys them T-bonds because we still pretend that we're asleep. But they're also waiting on you. When we're doing the radio show sometimes, because I do more by Oasis, and also do a radio show, Real Moors Talk. And Europeans calling from England, from Australia, from Denmark, and they drop information. Like for instance, one of the callers called in from Japan to let me to inform brothers and sisters when they're traveling around to pay attention to all the receipts, because down the bottom it'll have a 10% tax, and that tax goes to the Queen of England if they're U.S. citizens, which they think means some kind of legitimate citizenship. No, it's property. They're funding their own slavery. And then they're going to tell you about Yahweh and Jesus and Muhammad. They're full of do.
Do you have a
Straight
website?
Off the lawn.
Do you have a website?
Huh?
Do you have a website?
Most of my stuff is on other websites. rvbaypublications.com. Much of my stuff is on there. Also, Moorish Nation Public Records. And what I do, I pretty much give my information to other people. Most of the stuff that you see, I don't put up. One, because I don't have time. And two, because I'm really mostly, honestly, so busy, I don't really pay attention to it. So I just try to get information and share it and just give it out.
So have you come under attack?
Oh, yes. Like the AABH, the Jews wrote an article about me about 4 years ago. You can probably find it on the internet. I don't think they took it down where they called me the Fourth World War. Yeah.
That's where I wanted to go.
You know, and like, I'm serious. So, but I don't fear. It's number one. I'm a soldier. And I can't be bought. So there's nothing that they can do. They can't do no Negro payments for us. Say years ago, I think it was around 91 or 92 or something like that. I think it was 91 or 92. I was approached by a couple of publishers that were giving me a very comfortable living to print my books, but I had to put black in it, and I wouldn't. Do you understand? We publish our own. Because I'm not doing what I do for finance. Do you understand? If I want to live comfortable, I'm a contractor, I'm a house doctor. I can live quite comfortable. I keep my life simple so I can do this work. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And I know that everybody would not take that position. However, I don't want my babies to go through what I've seen. You know, and for a lot of the other babies to come. And I know there's some things they don't understand or comprehend now, but they will be proven by the European himself, because he will be forced to tell the truth. And this is even when you have your freedmen's groups now talking about sovereignty. They want the republic back because the middle class is being dissolved. However, they're not the Americans. I also suggest you all do some research. Look up wealthy, you know it's a misnomer, right? They'll say wealthy white Americans denounce their U.S. citizenship and nationalize in other countries.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because they're not.
Because they're not Americans. They can't claim sovereignty here. You see a lot of people talking sovereignty,
Right.
but can a Russian be sovereign in China? Oh. So you can't get away with those brand systems, can you? Now remember a few years back when Zuckerberg's partner, when Facebook went IPO, and his partner, a few days before it went IPO, he went to Switzerland and nationalized.
That's exactly right.
And I think he saved a couple billion.
That's exactly right.
Did he file a UCC1 financial statement? And 3? No, he did not. He recognized anybody that is so-called U.S. citizen is property and the debt is on them. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That's why they don't want you to nationalize, because they're going to put that debt on you. They're going to take everything your family owns.
So who's the they?
It is, see, when you're talking about this is what you sometimes call them the elite. Sometimes you refer to them as Illuminati, etc. But actually you're Illuminati. They've taken your place. Illuminati is when you activate your pineal gland. It's ancient African culture. You understand? Yep. Now Weishaupt set that up in the 1700s. Because remember, everything here is occupation. So they're taking your birthright and they're going to and fro the earth doing things in your name. Do you understand? This is what it's all about. But what's happening is now that the civilized world is dumping their T-bonds, they can't continue to feed the monster. Do you understand? But they do control the press to block this kind of information from you.
Would it be politically correct to say these are the Jews?
No, they're not Jews. John 8:44. If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. You are your father the devil, and the lusts of your father he will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abides not in the truth. And when he speaketh of a lie, he speaketh of his own kind. So you know that the J didn't come into language until the 1500s. And you know that we are Yahudi, and it's not a religion, it's not a belief. It's those of us who crossed the river before the Atlantis became an ocean. We are Yahudi, and there is no J.
Can we call them the imposters?
You call them Ashkenaz. Start making up stuff or calling people out of their name. Respect them as you respect yourself. They're Ashkenazi. You know, as a matter of fact, Hyksos. As a matter of fact, that land is not theirs.
Khazarians?
Yeah, you got that right. Khazarians. They're actually an ancient Iranian family. All right. Let me go through this a little bit more to wake you all up a little bit more, and I'm going to show you the oath of all your clergy. How many of y'all know the secret oath of all your clergy? All your clergy. I'm going to go into congressional records and show you their oath. All right? Now, I'm going to go into this a little bit more and show you a little bit more things that you need to know. Now, those coupons, they're trading their gold and silver for money. Keep in mind, this is congressional records. This is document, you can find this, all right? Now, currency is not money. How many of these adults think that currency is money? See the problem that we have? It's a money substitute. Nice way of saying counterfeit. Redeemable currency must promise to pay a dollar equivalent in gold or silver money. Federal Reserve notes make no such promises and are not money. The federal United States government and the U.S. Congress were not and have never been authorized by the Constitution for the United States of America to issue currency of any kind, but only lawful money, gold and silver coin. It is essential that we comprehend the distinction between real money and paper money substitute. One cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. One can only get deeper in debt. We the people no longer have any money. Most Americans have not been paid any money for a very long time, perhaps not in their entire life. Now do you comprehend why you feel broke? Now do you understand why you are bankrupt along with the rest of the country? Federal Reserve notes, which you just pulled out your pocket, are unsigned checks written on a closed account. How many of y'all knew that? Not enough. But you see the problem that we're in while we keep on talking about we want to solve the problems in our community and we don't even know what money is. Right. We're held as incompetent. Right. Do you understand? Go ahead, good brother.
I want to know where is the change from that 9/10% I've been paying for gasoline.
When they robbing you, does it matter? They
I'm saying as long as all of us have been buying gasoline,
yes,
no one has ever got that change. Where is that money?
Exactly.
Those are the roads.
Exactly, huh? It's the psychology of numbers. Making people think, not rounding it out. But in actuality, keep in mind that it's really not money you're discharging. Now, like say for instance, when you all have dead pledges, which is called mort. Mort is Moorish Latin, which means dead. Your pledge, gage is pledge contract. Contract is dead in its construct and your pledge. This is why they have on all deeds under feudal law, you listed as a tenant. And these people say, I don't own a house. And if you looked at that instrument, it said tenant. Your share property. And if you didn't know by now, you should. Not just that, you will find on those instruments it will say dedonus, which means gift. So when you start paying them greenbacks, you're thinking that you're making your mortgage payments and it's a gift. This is why they can foreclose at any time, it doesn't matter. Because it was foreclosed from the beginning because you didn't claim the estate when they gave you the deed.
Like living will and trusts?
All right, I'm going to show you something in a minute. And we'll deal with this again tomorrow, you all right? Because of the time factor. But I want you all to see, I want you to see some things. And I want you to see, because I want you to understand where his mental is. And I want you to understand based on what is documented in congressional records. So don't you think that the corporations don't have this information. They know that they're taking advantage of the people. But they know that the people are miseducated. And that they know they paid off marching black leaders to keep them in that black brand mentality. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That keeps them from dealing with facts. As long as you don't deal with facts, you ain't getting no cures about nothing. There's a fundamental difference between quote-unquote paying a debt and discharging a debt. To pay a debt, you must pay with value or substance, i.e. gold, silver, barter, or commodity. With Federal Reserve notes, you can only discharge a debt. So people don't even know the formulation of activity that they're doing. They don't know that when they transfer those Federal Reserves that they're discharging. And discharge is not an elimination, it's like a set-off. Therefore, the national debt. You see the point? You see? Now, you cannot pay a debt with a debt currency system. You cannot service a debt with a currency that has no backing in value or substance. No contract in common law is valid unless it involves an exchange of good and valuable consideration. Unpayable debt transfers power and control to the sovereign power structure that has no interest in money, law, or equity, or justice, because they have so much ill-gotten wealth already. In other words, they've already robbed it. And what you're giving is bookkeeping account ledger system called Federal Reserve Notes, which means debt. And you've been taught by your leader guys that you have some money, and you started believing them. Now do you understand how to answer the IRS when they come after your stuff?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. Now, the Federal Reserve System is based on the canon law, so therefore you must know history, you must know law, so you got to know how you're enslaved. Are we clear? So that other information we give you makes sense to you. You got to know what they're doing to you to have an idea of how to undo. Do you understand? You understand what I'm saying? Meaning that emotions don't get it. You got to know what's happening before you can intelligently do a composition of counteraction. And if you fail to rebut, it's called acquiescence. Do you understand what I'm saying? And logically, if you don't know this, you're not going to, how are you going to rebut what you don't know is going on? It's kind of unjust, but it's how things work. It's not prejudice, it's not racism, it's a lack of information. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. It's an implied contract that actually doesn't exist. Likewise, the debt doesn't exist. Exactly, but remember, the people haven't asked for them, have they? Now look at this. When we opened up, we showed you the George Washington's letter, we showed you that the attachment is to Morocco. Right? Now, if you don't acknowledge that you're heirs to the estate, you're abandoning it, and you claim to be black, you certainly are denying your Moorish blood, therefore you can't be inheritable. And then if you've been buying and selling with European names, you can only be designated as agency, which is what so-called black people are designated as agency. They need to know that. So logically, that gives the European free reign on your trust accounts. This is why they set up what is known as a cestui trust under canon law, with the 14th Amendment, corpse, and gave it the quality of person. And then they've got some nigger leaders, preachers, who run around tell these people civil rights, the 14th Amendment, they thought it meant good, and they were actually selling them out. And once they got you to agree to be people of color, and think it means Afrocentricity, you can, that's why you be yourself. Isn't it simple? Isn't it simple? Why make this thing complex? All you have to do is honor your mothers and fathers like every other civilized being. I mean, that's it. Your right to your estate is a birthright. What you do with the knowledge, like Rama was saying, what you do with this information is on you. But what you can't say is you ain't been told. And understand that we didn't just give you information, we've given you documents. Now I'm going to show you your clergy's secret oath. You know how they say they've been submitting and delivering the people to Jesusness? Now they can say that? Well, let's go to their secret oath. That's in congressional records. As a beneficiary, quote unquote, of the trust via his or her birth certificate. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects, the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, to the Federal Reserve System. There you go. Now, how come they won't address that? Because their nigger organizations will lose their 501c3 skull and bones kickback agreement. Anyway, let's go further to the congressional records. This is the House of Representatives congressional records again, you all. I'm going to cut through and show you what's happening to you in your communities, and also to the youth, you know, and how we've allowed it with our BS Dorf, with all these fake belief systems, because we won't deal with facts, all right? So this congressional record, Senator Owen, I wish to put into the record secret treaty, everyone. I'm not even going to go through this. This is also putting this on your flash drive with that other stuff. So you'll have this. including Tropicon speech, including Black's Law from 1 to 7, and Bouvier's, those alone are worth around 3,000 notes. Give it to you free. Study. Do you understand? Because I already know that most of you can't afford to build your libraries. Not with that. They'll spend $200 for Air Jordans, not $50 for a book.
Yep.
That's how we roll. So, but we'll work it out. It's true. This Article 3, Trinity, Article 3 is your clergy's oath. And keep in mind, they all know this too, sis. So when you know this, that means you can do something about this information, can't you? All right, y'all. Convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in the state of passive obedience, which they owe to their princes. The high contracting parties declare it to be their intention to sustain in their respective states those measures which the clergy may adopt with the aim of ameliorating their own interests. See why they get them planes and them $3,000 suits? Intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes, and the contracting powers join in offering their thanks to the Pope. I thought their thanks was to Jesusness. For what he has already done for them, and solicit his constant cooperation in their views of submitting the nations. They're delivering the nations to the popes of Rome, lying and saying that they're delivering them to Jesus. That's the clergy's secret oath, documented. Now you understand why your communities are poor. But these people can't believe that these guys behind the pulpit are vampires, even with the truth smacked in their face. They would prefer to defend the lie than to deal with the truth. They ask for the truth, and when the truth is delivered, they run, because it doesn't fit their beliefs. You think the civilized world sitting around feeling sorry for black people when they're funding their own enslavement? But they're going to tell you about God, Jesus, and Yahweh, and Allah, and don't even know fundamental congressional records that run me so saved and nobody else is. Why should the civilized world feel sorry for us when we always acting all self-righteous? Because we do. Don't say we don't, because we do. And won't even damn read. And the whole world knows this. And we be thinking that, you know, because we say Jesus, God, Allah, Muhammad, that the world's all impressed with us and will give us $5. Well, not necessarily. No, because that's how we be rolling. You know, Jesus is broke like that. The roof was leaking, always leaking. They had so many building funds, it was pretty good to me. They just get over on us because we're so naive. But what I'm really trying to demonstrate to you all is that we don't deal with reality. And many of us don't know reality. And as long as you don't deal with reality, you're not respected in the human family. Are we clear?
Yes.
Your injury comes from that lack of knowledge. I want to show you just a little bit of something. Now this is with Dee. Dee set up her trust. Now Dee is the one who did this. She, most of the time when I'm in Washington, no, when I'm in Delaware at the Ram Center. Many of you have heard Dr. Naila Gilliam on radio. One day when she was a pastor, she went through an epiphany and became conscious. And she's been doing this kind of work for the last few years. Anyway, so her church she converted into Ram Center, what's called a reawakening of man. She's very, very spiritual connected. And the skills that she had as a pastor, she converts to actual, true spiritual awakening and information. And these DVDs, most of them were done at different sessions at the Ram Center. And Dee she does most of the filming, just like you do, right? And the interesting thing, a European woman drove always, I think, from Arizona and rented a spot and came to the Ram Center with her little boy. And she said he gets up, he goes to bed looking at DVDs, right? And he wanted his mother to bring her to see me to see if I was real. It was so funny. But it was so, you know, because children, you know how you love children, you know. And so they took pictures and went, you know, took them back with her and everything. And she shared a lot of information, and she was so happy for him, she cried, you know. And so the reporters, they took pictures and everything. So here's this little European boy came to see me at the Ram Center. Dee, who does these films, who does those DVDs, this is her trust. Now, understanding that all of the corporate states take all of your property and put it in trust. Do you understand? If you don't know how things work, you're not going to counter. Do you understand?
Right.
Let me tell you something really quick. When they give you a debt pledge or a mortgage, within 72 hours, they create what you call a third-party trustee and sell the mortgage and separate it from the promissory note. I'm giving you this for your information. During the tenure of any so-called loan, the promissory note and the mortgage must never be separated if it is the claim that they have is dead. If you ever get in any mortgage problem, and they start talking, and the sister didn't pay us last week either. Now, in fact, she ain't paid us in 6 months. We want our stuff. You know what you do? When Freddie Bosnov and Laura Prodinkle came to this court to get this writ of execution, did they present to you, as the holder, the original mortgage with all wet ink signatures of the parties, including the promissory note, which he's alleging to have possession of today? Are they together? And they want to try to change the conversation because they're not together. Understand that they just not lost. Keep that in mind, y'all. Do you understand what I just said? In any so-called loan agreement, the mortgage and the promissory note must be married the entire tenure of the transaction. If they're ever separated, their claim is dead. They're a third-party interloper and can be dismissed. But it is wise that you create a trust and claim the deed and convert it back into the allodial prior to 1913 under the Republic. And you must be what? To claim ownership here, you must be of Moorish descent. Right. You must be American. See the key? You see the key? So the question you ask, this is part of your answer. You see, now, I just want you to see some of these things. So one, the Moorish National Republic, federal government. Now understand she registered this in the county because they was trying to foreclose on her too. That was 2 years ago. She's still there. They're coming again and she still filed this in the county. You understand? Then the sheriff sent a letter, this is past week, I was looking at it before I came. We have some property, etc., for you to claim, etc. We knew what they were talking about. Because what they're really saying, if you don't claim the deed and convert it, it automatically goes into the state coffers. For anybody that got a mortgage, you need to know that. Within 3 days, if you don't claim it, and then register it under yourself, it goes into the state coffers. Then they create what they call an allonge, and they sell pieces of your life to people around the world in the stock market. And they'll have a lot of signatures on it. That's why whenever you ask them to produce it, they won't produce it because you'll recognize that they're doing human trafficking. There's another reason why you ask some questions. But you gotta know what's going on so you know what to ask. Do you understand? If you start talking racism, you're already dismissed. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This is what you're supposed to talk about. Do you understand? So she named her trust Gnosis of Ruth the Moabitess trust. Now you all know that Ruth is Yahshua's great-great-great-great-grandmother. 39th book in the Bible, that's Ruth. And you already know that that's one of the lessons that they give in all secret societies. So the European already know that she's a Moabitess, and she already know that she knows what's up. Do you understand what she's making her claim? You see, because they claim that you've abandoned your claim, your right of claim, but most people don't know they have a right of claim, so they don't do what they don't know. Do you understand? All right, so
Gnosis of Ruth.
This, yeah, Gnosis of Ruth the Moabitess Trust. That's the name of the trust. Understand that you all would do your own. Do you understand? You would make up your own, and I'm leaving this template too, also with Mama, so that y'all can study this. We'll go over this maybe some more tomorrow. Now, it is in rem allodial aboriginal paramount clear perfect title. I want you all to look up aboriginal titles because that's how you supersede the deed system. Do you understand? And you cannot have an allodial title if you're not in your proper person. Are we clear? These are fundamentals because many of you who are already studying, you can use this information even if you don't use it like this because it will give you a foundation. This also gives you an argument in any court. Do you understand what I'm saying? Which aren't courts. They're human trafficking tribunals. Are we clear? All right, so Declaration of Irrevocable Trust, International Private Trust is public and private issue. See, because the Pope, through the hypothecation, took all of your rights and your property and your future labors and put it into the public venue. That's what the 14th Amendment is, and that's what House Joint Resolution 192 is all about. So you got to know what's in operation so that you can make a counterclaim. Do you understand? So this would be an counter. So a vow as amended curative affidavit, Gnosis of Ruth the Moabitess Trust, international organization, ecclesiastical body. So you're going back even into ancient Sumerians, with the original canon law. And of course, well, you have canon law principles that you must learn about your real culture. And all the Pope, see, because Pope actually comes from Ptah. The Ptah is the proper name of Egypt, capital dominion of the Moorish Empire. PTH, Ptah, is where they get Peter in the Bible, and also where they get Pope. What they're doing, they're taking your claim. Do you understand? You must make your claim back. Do you understand? And generations matters not. Why? It's the bloodline, y'all. Just because you've been unseated, don't make you not the descendants of the kings and queens of the earth. You just been overthrown. Do you understand? Everybody knows but you. And you got to start acting like you know. Do you understand?
So they took it by force.
What do you think colonial operation? That's what Spanish Inquisition is. The Spanish Inquisition is the world conquest.
And I'm saying, do we reclaim it by force?
No. Can you beat God's army? No. All right, so the first thing you must do is declare publicly your cognizance of yourself because you're the heir. Keep in mind that they fund their war machine with the U.S. T-bonds. When you declare your nationality, them T-bonds curl up like that witch's socks in The Wizard of Oz. That means it doesn't matter what nation state have bought them bonds. They become dead paper. So nations, economies are, as we speak, collapsing because they got them T-bonds. So how long do you think, like right here in Queen Khalifa's land, how many of y'all know that that so-called strike ain't a strike, that's a blockade?
Say it again, Todd.
How many of y'all know that Long Beach and Los Angeles and many of these other ports, counting about 29, you've been told that they were strikes, longshoreman strikes. They are blockades. And I suggest you pay attention to the shelves in Walmart because they're going to get thinner. Now, y'all can continue to play dumb. Not that you are. But pretty soon, 50 some odd stores of Target in Canaan land, Canada, have closed completely. They're sending stock down here to make it look like ain't too bad. It's only a matter of time. All your Radio Shacks are out of business. And Sears and Kmart's is getting ready to say bye-bye too. And understand that if you have no estate claim or connection with a nation state, you might not eat. It's only a matter of time that this can only be covered up for so long. You got to give them credit because they've been doing a good job. Because the people are still asleep. Your gas prices have went down because Saudi Arabia has been pumping 24/7 and then plus some to flood the market to kill the fracking industry here. And all those derivatives are dead. And that's because they stole their gold in Paris and in Switzerland. Oh yeah, and they're not too happy. Same reason they killed Gaddafi, to steal his 144 tons of gold. And then why they've been doing this to everybody else. It's just what they've done to you, and you forgot though. However, it's only a matter of time before this thing just falls apart. And this is what you've been hearing about when you've been hearing the reset and the BRICS nations and the Mint nations, etc. With, I think it's in Los Angeles, where they set up a renminbi hub. And we're the leaders of COMEX for England and the U.S. in New York decided to take flying lessons one day after the other off buildings. And that breaks that connection with that corruption and a lot more.
Taj, where does the RV currency that they're talking about, the dinars and the
the reason they don't fall for that immediately is because that the rest of the world's currencies are going back to the American Constitution, what Obama was talking about. Article 1, Section 10, which you will see talked about in House Joint Resolution 192, where they abrogated the gold clause. And keep in mind, the Skull and Bones Kissinger, they blackmailed Saudi Arabia family into creating what is known as the petrodollar. The petrodollar, whereas other nation states could not transfer any energies except that they convert their currency to the US dollar and then buy their energy. Then they use that to fund their war machine. It's called the petrodollar. All right. Now that's what's under attack by the rest of the world with the BRICS, etc. They're setting up a new system, whereas they're bypassing the dollar, and it's only a matter of time before it hits home and you go into hyperinflation. So right now you've got a couple notes for gas and kind of cool. How about $8 and $9 for a gallon? How long do you think that's going to last before it collapses? It already is doing. So I'm just telling you some of the things that's going to go on. So you're giving this information to prepare yourself, prepare your families. And now the dinar and other international instruments are being backed by gold. That's where the value is. Okay. But it's still fiat. Do you understand?
Okay, so they're saying like the dinars are $1.90-something in American. So
I know. We're talking about in value. See, but the U.S. dollar is shooting up. It's shooting up because everybody's investing in it. Right. Do you understand? But it's shooting up in exchange rate, not in velocity. That must be distinguished. Okay. See, so it's shooting up like a rocket, and then all of a sudden, it's going. Are you ready?
Okay.
You see? So, and then they're going to liquidate. They're going to liquidate. That's why you always carry a coin. This is also the copper penny test. I mean, this is the Americans. Copper penny test. That's how you can tell an American. They used to do a brown paper bag test. And you always carry a silver coin in respect of the legitimate government. Now I suggest that you all buy, not dinars, sis, buy some ordinary silver coins while you can, to use in emergency while you make this transition, because you're going to go through a horrible transition that most people aren't prepared for. We're going through this tomorrow. I want to thank Ron Leah for bringing me out here. Etc.
So we give thanks again to Brother Taj for coming out putting this information out. I want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, we're doing the Masters of Law class. Okay. This is going to be an all-day class from 10 to 6, breaking down jurisprudence, status, jurisdiction, adjudication. So we're preparing a book that everyone who comes out will be learning out of.